Aye, let's jump right in. Sometimes the most profound wisdom for success doesn't come from some best-selling book or a high-priced seminar. Nope, it's usually hiding in plain sight, in places you'd never think to look. And today, we're going to unpack one of those super simple ideas that can totally change how you approach, well, pretty much any project.
So where are we getting this game-changing piece of advice? Is it from some tech giant, a famous CEO? Nope, it's from a local plumbing company. That's right. The secret to actually hitting your goals at work, in your personal life, you name it, might just come from the folks who fix leaky pipes.
And here it is, this one sentence, from a blog post by a company called Emergency Plumbing in Highland Park, Illinois, is the absolute core of what we're talking about today. It's so simple but so powerful. The work you do before the work even starts, that's what actually determines if you're going to succeed or not.
Okay, so just to be clear, this isn't about how to install a water heater or anything like that. This is about a universal principle. What this company has laid out is basically a masterclass in project management that works for anything: launching a product, planning a wedding, even just trying to get a home renovation done without pulling your hair out.
I mean, think about it. For a plumber, the stakes are actually pretty high, right? One small miscalculation and boom, you've got a flooded basement. That kind of pressure forces you to create a system built on being super precise and thinking ahead. And that is a system we can all steal from, no matter what kind of project we're trying to tackle.
So to really get why this prior review thing is such a big deal, we got to look at the flip side first. Why do so many projects just completely go off the rails? Come on, we've all been there. You start with this great idea, and somehow it just ends in total chaos. How does that even happen?
Well, it usually starts with this classic bad guy, scope creep. You know what I'm talking about. You start with a really clear goal, but then, can we just add this one little thing? And then another small addition, and another. Before you know it, the project is a monster that looks nothing like what you planned, and it's just completely spiraling out of control.
And that, of course, leads directly to massive misunderstandings. The client thinks you're building a car, your team thinks they're building a boat, and suddenly everyone is frustrated and pointing fingers because nobody was on the same page from day one.
And naturally, when the scope is all over the place and no one's on the same page, what happens to your deadlines? Poof! They become a total fantasy. Your whole timeline just starts to crumble.
And the final nail in the coffin? Yep, blown budgets. Every single change, every little delay, it all costs time and, you guessed it, money. It turns your awesome, well-intentioned project into a giant financial headache. This is the exact chaos that a simple prior review is built to stop.
Okay, so how do we fight back against all that chaos? Well, our plumbing experts lay out this surprisingly elegant solution. They call it the cornerstone of their whole philosophy, but we can think of it as the 7 essential pillars of good planning. What's so cool about this is how comprehensive it is. Let's just walk through these pillars. You've got clarity of scope, identifying challenges, resource allocation, timeline management, budget accuracy, quality assurance, and the big one at the end, client satisfaction. Do you see the logic here? It all starts with getting clear, and it ends with the ultimate goal. Every single one of these steps is a building block to make sure that final pillar, making the client happy, is solid.
Let's just focus on that second pillar for a second, identifying challenges. Honestly, this is where the real magic happens. It's this idea that you have to be a pessimist in the planning stage so you can be an optimist when you're actually doing the work. You think about everything that could possibly go wrong ahead of time so you already have a plan to deal with it before it turns into a 5-alarm fire.
All right, so you can start to see how this builds, right? When you actually use these 7 pillars, you're not just tweaking your process a little bit, you're changing the whole game. You're shifting from constantly putting out fires to, well, preventing them from ever starting. So let's take a look at what that difference actually looks like in practice.
And this lays it all out perfectly. I mean, look at this. On the left, that's the world of chaos we just talked about. But on the right, that's the payoff you get from doing a prior review. Misunderstandings? Nope, you get clarity. Wasted resources? Nope, efficient allocation. Unrealistic timelines? Now it's on-time delivery. So the key thing to get here is that this isn't just about dodging bullets. It's about actively building a path to success.
And at the end of the day, this quote from the source really brings it home. The whole process, all this detail, it's all for a very human reason. It doesn't matter if you're a plumber or a software developer or a party planner, the goal is to create something valuable that makes people happy and confident in what you do. This framework,
It's just the most reliable way to get there.
So the big question is, how do we take this plumber's wisdom and actually use it in our own lives? It really just comes down to taking a breath, stepping back, and adopting this mindset for whatever you've got on your plate next.
Because really, the big takeaway here is so simple. You don't need fancy software or expensive consultants to do this. It's just about having the discipline to look at the details before you jump in. That's it. That's the foundation for everything else.
So I'm going to leave you with a final question to chew on. Think about your next project. Could be a presentation for work, a personal goal, whatever. What's the one detail, the single most important detail that you need to get crystal clear on right now to set yourself up for success? Because as we just learned, that's where it all starts.